in banking for more years than I care to remember, but I've been with First Commerce. First Commerce has been around since 1940. We expanded operations to Mariana in 2011. So, we do basically everything traditional lenders would do: mortgage loans, commercial lending, boat loans, house loans, deposit accounts, you name it. So, about a $500 million institution, been around for a long time. About 5 or 6 years ago, we've been doing presentations at Chipola. I've done presentations at Mariana High School. We've done some stuff at TCC and Tallahassee. We decided to kind of formalize our financial literacy outreach efforts, and we created the First Commerce Foundation. And it's just that. It's a means to kind of formalize our financial literacy outreach efforts, and that's kind of the intent of our discussion this morning. A couple folks here from this morning's class. I spoke to Dr. Gambler's class at 7:30 this morning. Maybe a couple folks I see. I'm sorry, you're listening to this twice, but maybe it'll be of some benefit to you. We're going to talk a little bit, and each one of these topics is really designed. I can talk an hour on each one of these topics. So really what we're doing here is kind of a condensed version, kind of hitting the high points of some things, and maybe it'll give some food for thought, maybe things that you've not thought of before, or maybe at all, perhaps, or maybe looking at them in a little different dimensions, let's say. So we're going to discuss really the concept of credit, the big issue, the hot button issue of identity theft, and touch a little bit on personal finance, and really try to relate to you how all three are interconnected. How a problem on one of those areas can ripple through and cause problems to the other two areas, and vice versa. So we'll go ahead and jump into the material here. First of all, how many here know what your credit score is? You've checked your credit score, you know what it is. Okay. The remainder of you, this is kind of open questions. By all means, stop and ask any questions you have at any point. If you have a question, raise your hand, let's talk about it, and we'll kind of jump into it. But how many of you would you say you're comfortable in understanding really what a credit score is? So some of you folks can understand what it is. In the most basic sense of the word, credit score is a score placed on you as a borrower, and it's indicative of your credit history. So credit scores can be as low as 400 and as high as 850. Rarely will you see a score in the 400s. That's pretty bad. Rarely will you see a score approaching 850. I probably 2 or 3 times a year will have a score in that 830, 840, 850 range. Very rare. Most people you're going to find fall kind of in that range of 670, 680 up to 720 or so. That's kind of the tool. So, talking about that, why do you need credit? Why is credit score important? Well, if you're borrowing money, it's important because typically the score you have will result in the kind of rates you get on a car loan, a boat loan, a home loan, and so that's why it's vitally important. And I did some math earlier, and I'll share this with you. It's kind of really shocking when you look at what a difference in an interest rate of, say, 2 points. It doesn't seem like a lot, but I'll show you what that can really mean in terms of what you pay over time. But, what would be an instance in which the credit doesn't matter, the credit score doesn't matter? Well, if you're not borrowing money, you want to go out and write a check for everything that you purchase. You don't buy a new house, a new car, a new boat. Credit score doesn't matter. You can just go out there and do that. But most people I found, probably 90, 95, 98% of people, they need credit as a tool. And it is a tool. It's something, if you are buying a $250,000 house, most people don't write a check for that. They borrow money from a financial institution. And consequently, what you can get in terms of your rate is directly attributable to that. Just kind of some open questions here. We'll kind of get the discussion going. So, a score of 820, about as good as you're going to get. Do you think that would generally give you a better rate than someone will say 720? Someone says yes here. Any thoughts? Floor? I found once you get above about a 720, you're kind of in a rarefied area. So you're A+ credit. You're the best of the best. That's as good as it's going to get. Now, so just for bragging rights, you may say, hey, listen, I've got a BGIT score of 820. That's great because you're certainly within the top 2-3% of folks out there. But where things can get interesting at is, let's just say your 720 BGIT score, you're A+ credit. What about a 620 BGIT score? Not bad, Can you get a house done? Yeah, you probably get a house done for the 620 Beacon score, 630, 640. So the difference is, I want to share with you, just kind of let this sink in. You come in, you want to borrow $250,000 for a home purchase. $250,000. You've got a Beacon score of 720, you're A+ credit. That's going to give you a fixed rate, today's fixed rate, I did a lock last week for a guy, 3.5% fixed for 30 years. 3.5% fixed for 30 years for 3.5%. It's going to give you a payment of about $1,121 a month. Okay? Is that good or bad? Well, you get 3.5. If you're like me, I mean, I want 2.5. You always want better than you can get, but that's what the rates are doing in today's environment. Let's say you come in, you've got a Beacon score of 640. Okay, not quite as good as a 720, but it's okay. We get you done. I can get you a rate of 5.5% on $250,000. It's going to give you a payment of about $1,418 per month. Okay, a little bit more, but you got the house, right? You're happy, you're good. That difference in payments between the 3.5% rate and the 5.5% rate is going to equate to about $297 a month. Times 12 months in a year equals about $3,564 per year difference. Over the course of 30 years, that's $107,000. So you can see those small incremental rate differences over time can make a huge difference. And that's why it's vitally important, because if you're out there as a consumer, you want to get the best price you possibly can on anything you're buying, home, boat, auto. At the same time, if the transaction requires credit, as most people's worlds do, you want to get the best price you can on your interest rate. And that's why the credit is so vitally important and ties into that. It's a good question. It's a good discussion point. Folks in the class this morning here know the answer to this, but if you get a credit report, is your income factored into that score? What do you think? Is what you make a year factored into your credit score? You say no? Anybody think it is? Think it is? Think it is? Okay, there are 3 credit reporting agencies. There's Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. If you want to buy a house, they're going to pull a bureau on all 3 of those bureaus for you. In the Southeast, primarily here's Equifax. You go to your friendly car dealer, your friendly financial institution, pretty much everybody I know uses Equifax. But your income is not factored into your score. They have no idea what you make. However, I've looked at the credit bureaus. You bring me 20 credit bureaus, I can tell you what 9-10 of those folks make within about a 5% difference. Well, why is that? Well, the credit bureau shows, talk about what it shows. It shows, number 1, who you owe, how much you owe, how long you've had those relationships outstanding, how well you paid those relationships, and ultimately, all these payments are factored into, what your total monthly outgo is. So my point being, people that make fill in the blank, $50, $60, $100, $200, $300,000 tend to live at a percentage of that salary. So most people, if your income is $10,000 a month, my experience is somewhere between 35 to 45% of that will be allocated for structured debt payments. Boat payments, car payments, house payments, not things like insurance, cable bills, things like that. In addition to structured debt payments. So the income is not factored into the credit score. How many people here have checked your credit score? Check your credit in general. Okay. So checking, there's a misconception. Checking your credit score does not ding your credit. It's just basically they allow you to do that. And these 3 companies, Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, they have proprietary formulas. And they're a formula. It takes all these factors we'll talk about in a minute and calculates the score. And you can have a difference between Equifax and TransUnion of 30, 40 points, which is fine, and we understand that. But checking your own score is not going to harm your score. I would strongly encourage you, if you have not checked your score, to go check your score. There's a great resource of information right there. It gives you the addresses of all the credit bureau agencies, reporting agencies, to go out there and check your credit. Now, there's no fee or no charge for you to check your credit. You've all seen the freecreditreport.com, okay? That is, there's no charge for that. However, to get your score, there may be a small charge for that. But at this point, depending on where you're at in your life, I don't know that I'd worry so much about the score, but what I would be very concerned about is what's on the credit. what is on the credit. Because ultimately, what you don't know can hurt you. What you don't know can hurt you. So, and you know, I mentioned this morning in the class, if you have nieces, nephews, brothers, sisters that are younger, it does not hurt at all to check the credit score for a 7-year-old child. What's that point of that? Well, as we'll talk about in a little bit, identity theft is rampant. It is rampant, and it's everywhere. I see it every single day. So consequently, you know, if someone has taken steps to steal the identity of you or a loved one, maybe an older parent or grandparent, it's critical that you check and understand what's out there so you can take appropriate action to address it. Because what you don't know can certainly hurt you. So, good versus bad credit. Okay? At the end of the day, credit is when you borrow money for some purpose or another. You know, and I would probably think a good credit has a tangible asset behind it. You are borrowing money to buy a house that will appreciate in value. You're buying an asset that ultimately can be disposed of. Good credit. What's bad credit? Well, you know, you get a credit card offer and you're going to use it to go to Cabo for spring break. Go to Vegas for the weekend. Now, you're having a good time, I get it. But at the end of the day, when you get back, you've got a bill from no tangible asset behind what you've done here. So, kind of bear that in mind. Good credit versus bad credit in terms of what you're doing out there. We talked about the 3 major bureaus right here. The FICO score, you get the term FICO score, that's just basically a credit score. That's the magic number we're talking about. Mayor Isaacs is what it stands for, but it's just a tool. So what determines your credit score? And talk about some of the factors here that determine a credit score. 35%, in fact, the largest percent is payment history. How well have you paid those debt obligations that you have incurred? Okay, how well have you paid them? We'll circle back around to that in a second. That's a big one. Amounts owed. How much do you owe? How much do you owe, and how much do you owe in relation to what maybe your limit would be? So, this computer model, and it is just that, it's a model, it's looking at things like, okay, I've got, let's just say, 3 credit cards outstanding with balances, forget about balances, with limits of $10,000 each. $10,000 each. So the model's looking at, they see me having balances close to $10,000 on all 3 cards. Something's going on. Something's going on here. This guy is utilizing up all his available credit. It's going to ding you for that. So how much do you owe in relation to your line limits? Typically, I would recommend 50% max. You got a $10,000 limit, line of credit, credit card, whatever the case may be. You don't really want to fund more than about 50% of that amount. Length of credit history. You know, how long have you had these accounts open? Well, they opened up 5 or 6 accounts last week. Or is it account? Yeah, I've seen some credit reports going back 25, 30 years. So the length of time credit has been established. That's another factor in determining the score. New credit. If the bureau sees you just popping up, you buying 2 or 3 new cars, opening a lot of revolving accounts, that's an alarm. You know, something's going on here. This guy's taking out a lot, or lady's taking out a lot of new credit. It's something that can cause concern. And last, types of credit used. Are you using, again, good credit, tangible assets, home purchase, vehicle purchase? There's a lot of revolving unsecured debt. That's kind of how the model works. Talking about payment history, you know, things happen. I mean, I get it. Things happen. But if you ever are confronted with a situation in which you're going to have a past due payment, pay the late charge. It's fine. It's not a problem. Where your credit score can get literally driven in the ground is when I've seen scores go from 750 to 650 or lower in a matter of a couple of months, is that over 30. Anything over 30 that hits your credit report is going to damage you. So you got a payment that's due October the 1st. Something happens, you can't make the payment until November 2nd. Okay, it's going to show us over 30 on you. And where things can get really sideways is, well, you know, I made the November payment, I made the December payment on January the 4th. So you get into a situation that you start running 30 days behind, and that becomes 2, 3, 4, 5 times over 30, and that can knock your score off. I've said 200 points, really drastically. But that is how kind of the composition of what the credit is, the score is comprised of. And as you're starting your careers and lives, I mean, it's very difficult to get credit if you don't have credit. How do you get something that you don't have? A couple suggestions for you. A lot of folks, excuse me, will have a cosigner, will have your mom, dad, brother, sister, grandma, granddad, co-sign with them to get the first car. We also have, and sometimes that's not an option for a number of reasons, but sometimes we will have something such as they call it a shared secured loan, secured by your own cash. So you have no credit. It's a blank slate. You come in, but you want to establish a line of credit. Go to your bank, your credit union, say, hey, listen, I'm comfortable with a payment of $150 a month, but I need to establish some credit, but I don't have credit. Okay. So basically, we'll make you a loan, give you $5,000. I'll take that $5,000 back and put it into a savings account and lock it down. So you got a loan, you're making a payment for $150 a month until the loan's paid for. Okay? You got to establish trade lines being reported at the end of the long term, 24, 36 months, whatever it is, that $5,000 essentially is yours. But what I have seen for it, and this is the exact opposite of what you want to do, is you do a shared secured loan to develop credit. Something happens and you get over 30 days past due. So now, rather than you've established credit, but you established the wrong kind of credit. So you've done exactly the opposite of what your intent was, and that could be something that's been tough to recover from as well. I would encourage you to look through this credit information. There's a lot of good information on there. It's really, and I would encourage you to check your credit scores. Check them. Kind of segue into the identity theft discussion. You know, I know a lot of people that will just lock their credit down. That you can call any of these reporting agencies, you can lock it down. Now, if you're actively borrowing money, is it kind of a challenge sometimes? Yeah, you know, they try to pull a bureau on you. They're not going to be able to. They got to get the code, put the code in, unlock the credit. They'll pull the credit, and when you're done, they'll put the lock back on it. But particularly for young siblings, nieces, nephews, older parents, grandparents that don't borrow money anymore, that's a great recommendation. Just lock it down. Nobody can access it. Good guys are bad guys. I mean, it's locked down, it's locked down. So it's something that I would really encourage you to do. You know, we'll be here about an hour. The hour we're here, about 1,200 people become the victim of identity theft. I mean, it's prevalent. I see it every single day in terms of, we'll talk about some examples of this, but it's so widespread. How many of you have a debit card here? Most everybody's got a debit card. And has anyone here had an issue with their debit card being compromised? Unauthorized charges? I mean, probably looking 30% of the room here. I mean, again, we see it every single day, and it's just, it's rampant. Much like, you know, there's no saying, experience is the best education, but tuition can be very expensive. So if anything we talk about today can cause you to maybe take some proactive steps, it would be time well spent. Your accounts, you have accounts, obviously you have debit cards. How often do you check your account? Never? Daily? Weekly? Monthly? Had a guy, spoke to his wife last week, and he has an account. He's one of those folks, he just doesn't balance his account. He just doesn't really pay much attention to the account. And he determined that his account had been compromised about 2 years ago. And again, we did it with relatively small amounts of money. I mean, everything is relative in life. I mean, I understand, but he just wasn't paying attention. So ultimately, he starts digging back. There's several $1,000s in fraudulent activity. However, it's incumbent upon you, if that you see that something's fraudulent, to notify your financial institution within 60 days. After 60 days, the responsibility falls on you. So, you know, if you're one of those folks that just don't check your account, and then you discover, hey, 3 months ago something happened to my account, then the loss is on you. So, I would even, as much of this as I see, I would recommend, if you don't have the mobile banking apps, get it, and every morning just check your accounts. Now, I understand you may not balance your checkbook, you know, in the traditional sense, but at least look at the charges on there to make sure the charges are legitimate. Okay? So, are they legitimate? And, you know, sometimes through no fault of anybody, stuff happens. You got double charged at a restaurant. Okay? Was that fraudulently? No, they made a mistake. Okay, they made a mistake. But at least you checked it and you can notify either the merchant or ultimately the financial institution and let them know what has happened and you can deal with the problem. If you don't do that, it gets to be very challenging. So, identity theft. What is identity theft? Well, in the most basic sense of the word, it's someone using your personal information, your account, to essentially defraud someone or steal money from you. Okay? That can look like, I won't talk about 7 or 10 things what it can look like, but at the end of the day, it's someone, again, trying to use your identity to defraud you, to take out a loan in your name. I mean, you name it, but it's out there. So talk about some things you can do to safeguard your identity as we go into this. So, I'm going to ask you some questions here. Just kind of be mindful of these. It's kind of an identity theft risk assessment. You just kind of answer these questions to yourself. I shred all pre-approved credit offers, account statements, and financial documents before disposing of them. So you get an offer in the mail or a credit card. Once you get credit established, they'll be sending you balance transfer checks. Any of that stuff, you get it, you shred it. Okay? Well, why is that important? Okay? You do your shared secured loan, you get some credit established, you do a couple store accounts, you may get a car loan, you get a Discover card. Periodically, Discover card will do a promotion, send you some balance transfer checks. Okay? You get it, not interested, throw it in the trash can. Someone finds it. They decide to take the balance transfer checks and write checks to themselves or someone else. Okay? You're not aware of it. You don't know what's going on. You get a statement at the end of the month, and you thought you had a balance of $300. They've maxed your card out to $10,000. Okay? So that kind of thing, just any type of sensitive information, I would strongly recommend you shred it. Get rid of it. Make sure it's not just thrown in the trash and somebody can take advantage of it. I do not carry my Social Security card with me. That's a big one. You need to know your card, but don't take your card with you. I never leave my wallet or electronic devices unattended. So passwords. We'll talk about passwords a little bit more, but make sure your phones and all your devices have very secure passwords. When I go on vacation, I place a hold on my mail and have someone I trust pick it up for me each day. Okay? Again, it's just basically understanding, what could be in there and what could be compromised. I review each of my credit report annually. Critical. Do not download files or click on links or emails sent from people I don't know. So, phishing with a P, not a yeah. So they're sending out emails pretending to be your financial institution, pretending to be your credit card provider, pretending to be anybody that can gain your trust. So if you have any question on that, don't respond to it. It could be a phone call, it could be an email. Don't respond to it. You initiate the call to your institution. Say, hey, listen, I got a funny look at email or phone call. I wasn't pretty sure if it's legit. So initiate it, but don't respond to it, because that could be, again, very, very harmful. Due dates. Make sure you know all your due dates on your loans, and if a bill is missing. This is a little antiquated because now I think pretty much everyone does, most everyone does automatic payments, ACH, automatic clearinghouse. But understand, what's out there. And you're talking about your credit. Sometimes things happen. The account should have been netted October the 1st. I didn't balance my account. I didn't realize I didn't have the money there. The bank made a mistake. And it's now November 2nd. I'm getting late notices. Well, they hit me an over 30 credit report. So you do your billing dates. Make sure you understand when they are and just check them off. Be very methodical with that. This is antiquated too. I don't carry a checkbook with me unless I'm planning to use it that day. Everybody keeps a debit card with them. I get it, but don't write your PIN number on your debit card. People laugh when I say that. People write their PIN number on the debit card and they lose it. Well, guess what? That's account's been cleaned out. Again, talking about personal information, don't reveal personal information unless you initiate the contact or you know exactly who you're dealing with. Up-to-date antivirus, anti-spy software is very critical. So be mindful of your passwords. Make sure they're complicated enough that it's not use the same password for all your various accounts. Try to vary them up. And lastly, be mindful of your environment. When you're using the ATM, make sure no one's around you. Had a discussion this morning about ATMs, about skimmers. Okay? You see this in the news, we've had it. So some the bad guy is putting a skimmer on an ATM, on a gas tank. What they're doing is they are essentially, you go to get gas, you go to make a transaction on your debit card, you put the card in, you get your cash out, everything's fine, right? Well, everything's fine, except the skimmer has been attached to it, and it looks like the real thing. It's designed to look like the real thing. So obviously if it didn't look legitimate, I mean, you'd be wary and not want to use it. So all this information, 30, 40, 50 debit cards have been captured, and then that information will be used to replicate debit cards, and people just take off, and you know, the money's gone. And so from that standpoint, just be mindful of that type of thing. You know, talking about the forms that ID theft can take, I mean, this is just varied, but so you're stealing your identification to apply for a loan in your name. So if you work hard to get your credit established, reestablished, and someone has taken your information and used that to apply for a loan. And ultimately, when these folks take out loans, they don't pay the loans back, you understand, they're just taking the loan out to get the funds, and then dealing with the aftermath is your problem. So that's one of the things they can do. A big one here, tax fraud. Tampa, Florida, center of the U.S. for tax fraud. So how does that work exactly? Well, they steal your information through whatever means, and they file a tax return on your behalf. Now, bear in mind, if you ever pay the IRS, it doesn't work. Only when you get refunds. So you get the refund back, and you're going to file your taxes, right? Well, the IRS is going to tell you, we've already filed your taxes. We already sent a refund out. So, you know, what a challenge to deal with there. I mean, you think dealing with some of the financial institutions is a challenge. Try dealing with the IRS. You know, so then you have to try to unwind that. So that's, you know, just a huge thing. Tax fraud. I apologize. I had some old cashier's checks that frankly got kind of ratty. I've got some more coming, so I'll have it for you next time. So we have fake lottery scams, fake work from home scams. What does that look like? Well, typically they will send you a very professional package offering for you to, let's just say, work from home, take surveys, secret shoppers, you name it. So bear in mind, all of these ID, they've got a hook. There's always a hook that gets you, okay? So the hook here is they send you a cashier's check for $1,000. You're going to do a secret shopper, you're going to work from home, and you are going to, well, they're going to give you $500, right? If they send you a $1,000 check, all you got to do is put a check for $500 and send it back to them. See this quite often. I never quite understand why they just net the difference out, but so they sent you a check that's bogus, it's phony, you take it to your financial institution. We try to catch this stuff. You know, we have 55,000 members, you know. I can't tell you that every check that we deposit is called like this. So you deposit a phony check. Okay, you've got money in your account. Okay, so you go ahead, you complete the package out, everything's there. You take $500 of your dollars, these are real dollars, certified funds, and you send back with the package and the check. Okay? Well, it turns out in 3, 4, 5 days, the check you deposited is no good, it's bogus. So again, that's the hook. They've got $500 of your money, the checks, of course, backed out in return. So $500, but you think about it, maybe 1,000, maybe 2,000. They're doing this not just on you, but 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, 1,000 times. It's like anything else, the law of probabilities and averages. You know, their experience has shown, yeah, you know, if we send 1,000 of these out, and 20% will take it, the bank will catch a few of them, so it can be very lucrative, you know, when they do this. It's, but we see quite a bit of that. Dumpster diving. Dumpster diving. So what is that? So typically, you know, your medical office, just think about where and who has the greatest concentration of secure data. Well, your financial banks, credit unions, CPAs, medical providers, anyone that has that information, you know, that they're hoping that some of that information won't be shredded and it will be thrown away and they can somehow get it and begin. Sometimes it's not just one thing, it's a combination of putting a puzzle together. They're trying to put a puzzle together to replicate you and use it for illegal purposes. So dumpster diving is huge. We talked about skimmers at ATMs and gas stations. I mean, you know, we've seen situations, and again, I don't want to impugn the integrity of anybody in the service industry, but we've seen situations in which, you know, servers at restaurants, you know, they walk away to process your payment. They've got the card. You make the payment, but they also have skimmed that card, and they've captured your identity on a skimmer that made 30, 40, 50 a night, you know. And so see quite a bit of that. I told the class this morning, looking for love, right? Everybody's looking for love. Okay. Had a true story, lady in Tallahassee. She meets the love of her life online. True love. These things, these are not overnight. Sometimes these are very well orchestrated plans that can take days, weeks, months to put into place. So online dating, she meets the love of her life online, and he lives in England, or says he does. He lives in Bluntstown. You don't know, but so lives in England. They're gonna be married happily ever after, right? Okay, so she's gonna move to England, and everything's great. He's starting a business up and needs some assistance. Needs a little bit of money, not much, about $40,000. Yeah. So he asked her $40,000. Well, she didn't have $40,000. But what she does have is the house is paid for free and clear. So she comes to us to borrow the money. And in cases like this, you know, obviously, you know, we try to be very judicious and say, oh, what do you do? What's going on? And at the end of the day, though, you counsel people and try to give the best advice you can. You know, sometimes people are determined to do what they're going to do. So, true story. Make a long tour. The money goes out, and as you might guess, the relationship ends. However, her problems are just beginning. So now she's got a $40,000 debt, and she's got a service. She's going to lose her house. Okay, so very sad story. But you see this stuff, and I'm telling you this, is there's just so many varied ways that this can be approached. You know, sometimes it's just it's high tech, and it's you know, someone said, I wish these people had a job. I can promise you, they all have a job. And the job is to steal your money. They're very talented. They're very good at what they do. They're very convincing at what they do. You know, children and the elderly seem to be the most vulnerable sometimes, particularly children in terms of their credit bureaus, and elderly in terms of, you know, they're getting up in years, and sometimes they're more susceptible to scammers calling them. So I would strongly encourage you, parents, grandparents, younger siblings, nieces and nephews, if they're not using the credit, I'd really seriously consider locking it down, putting a lock on it. Because again, it's just so widespread. Take a look at your resources here. I think you'll find there's just a lot of good information there, particularly on the identity theft component of it. And if you do see something on there that is not legitimate when you check your credit report, please report it. I mean, you have that right. You know what's on there. Report anything that's not accurate, anything that's not it's an error. Take immediate steps to try to correct it when you do that. But great resource here. Take a look at that. I had a question this morning from the group, you know, talking about, you know, as we talk a little bit about personal finance. How are we looking at our time here?
Probably about another 10, 15.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll leave some time to answer questions. So, you know, in the world of banking, you know, typically someone comes in, we're going to make an application. We're going to pull a credit bureau on you, talk about the credit bureau, you know, what it is, what it tells us. You know, obviously, you know, in many cases, we're going to get income verification. What does that look like? Pay stub, tax returns, things like that. So this discussion came up in class this morning, and I've seen this. You know, someone comes in, they have an 800 Beacon score. They've had credit for 30 years. See, everything's just paid perfectly. car payments, loans paid off, everything's resolved, they have a few open accounts right now, they have a house mortgage, they have a car, boat payment, whatever. Perfect. And they give us the tax returns and show they make about 15 grand a year. So, what do you think may be going on there? Credit's perfect. Tax returns say they make about 15 grand a year. The total debts, by the way, let's just say they add up to about six grand a month. House payments, car payments, about 6 grand a month. And they give us a tax return that shows they make $15,000 a year. What do you think's up with that? Possibly. So what's going on there? They're not reporting income to Uncle Sam. Okay, so I get it. I mean, I understand what they're trying to accomplish there in terms of payment of taxes, but just be mindful. You know, if you're self-employed, the financial institutions want you to be able to justify on paper, you know, what you have got and what you're trying to borrow. What you got and what you're trying to borrow. In the world of finance, you know, about 28% is a good number. Make the math easy for you. Your income is $10,000 a month. House payment needs to fall about no more than about $2,800 a month. That 28% is what they're looking for. So we talked about the credit score. Credit score needs to be at least about 640. The debt to income ratio for housing purposes needs to be about 28%. Okay? Your total debt to income ratio, which is what you owe in relation to what you make, needs to be no more than about 45%. That's the top end number. So car payments, house payments, boat payments, etc., need to be no more than about 45%. You can do that in your mind real quick. Interpret what you make, what you will make. So just be mindful of that. So, yeah, as the income gets higher, you have a little bit more discretion. Reason being, you know, 45% of $10,000 a month is a lot more than 45% of $2,000 a month. So it's all relative, but at the end of the day, that's kind of a good number for you to be mindful of. 28% for a house payment overall, including the house payment, about 45%. Question for you right now. Anybody have questions about anything we talked about? I know I've thrown a lot of stuff out at you. Anybody have questions about anything at all? I'd be happy to answer your questions. Nobody? Yes, sir.
How do you lock somebody's credit?
What's that?
How do you lock somebody's credit?
You would call the credit reporting agency, and there's Equifax, Experian, TransUnion's number on there. You can call them up and tell them, I'd like to lock my credit down. And they'll probably direct you to a link, and they're going to give you a code, and you lock it down. And trust me, when it's locked, it's locked. It's locked from the good guys and the bad guys. You can't access that thing. But don't forget your code. I know lately you got a code, it was a real challenge. Because again, you're trying to call, get a code, and then that can be a very difficult process. So if you have a code on it, don't forget the code. That can be a big deal. Yes, ma'am.
On the free credit reporting, like the pay
That's right.
is that the same?
It actually is, yeah. They have a portal, which you get set up, and you know, they're probably going to have a step of security features that you have to, a few hoops you have to jump through to facilitate that. But yes, you can lock it and unlock it online once you get it set up. Absolutely. Yes, sir.
What would you say the best way to make the credit is through your credit score?
Through your credit score, 35% is payments. It's critical that no payment, structured payments you've got, ever hits that 30-day mark. I can see that driving to the ground in a hurry. So once you've got it, obviously payments on time, it's critical. Watch balances in relation to line limits, that's critical. Good credit versus bad credit is huge. And if you're starting off trying to establish credit, you know, the shared secured CD is a great way to do it. Yes, ma'am.
What do you think the best way to establish credit would be? Because I've tried to get credit cards before for
Yeah.
my name, and they straight up just will not pay me.
That's right. Yeah. So
How am I supposed to?
how do you get it if you don't have it? Very challenging. And I've been where you're at, I understand. So what you're going to do is you got a couple options. The shared secured option, I think, is the best option. Okay. At a local financial institution, I'll be happy to visit with you offline. We have means to do that. So essentially, you've got the money, it gets locked down. So from the financial institution's standpoint, there's really no risk. Losing your $5,000, the $5,000 is sitting in the account. If you don't make the payments, you pay the loan off, your life goes on. But to me, that is the most effective way to do that. Absolutely. Any more questions from anyone? No. starting to kind of wind down our time here. But, be mindful of the differences. You talk about $107,000 for a 2-point rate difference over 30 years. That's huge. That's huge. Now, yes, Dr. Fox.
Mr. Hudson, can you talk a little bit about why multiple credit inquiries drive credit score down?
It can. So the model sees it as, well, number one, it sees that you're going from institution to institution, and there's something in your world that's not just right, so you're going on to the next institution. Okay, they're also looking at the progression of where you go to. Now, are you going from XYZ Bank, XYZ Credit Union, to XYZ Finance Company? Okay, so finance companies are out there, and they perform a valuable service to people that may have some credit challenges, but typically, if you got 850 score, you're not going to a finance company. You're just not. Because the rates they're going to charge are going to be close to what Florida law provides to on the top end, and you're going to pay a pretty high price for it. So the model see something's not just right. A bunch of people are putting bureaus on you. You're going from a credit union, a bank, to a finance company. They're putting bureaus on you. So that's kind of how the model picks that up. Absolutely. In the personal finance information, there's a lot of stuff in there. A couple things I always touch base on is, as you get started in your careers, it's amazing. Two things that I see that's the most striking is that folks that, for whatever reason, don't take advantage of matching contributions to an employer. You can contribute, I think it's up to 18%, but most people do 2, 3, 4, 5% of your income as a contribution toward your 401k plan. Okay, most employers will match that dollar for dollar up to 3.5%, 4%. And if you don't do that, you are just leaving money on the table. And it's not material really a month, 2 months, but it's very material over years of your career. You're going to be working for 30, 40 years in some cases, a long time. So those matching funds are just critical, and it's hard to overstate the importance of saving on a structured plan, stay with that plan. The worst mistake I see with people, they come up, it doesn't matter. We do a lot of investment stuff as well. They want to contribute $500 a month. Okay, that's a great plan. Well, that $500 is not sustainable. So instead of $500, they do nothing. Okay, do something you're comfortable with, and you can make it long term. And that is just one integral part of kind of where you're at with your retirement plans. Is those matching funds. They're critical. The second thing, and I see folks every day that are grossly underinsured, and as you get into your careers and family, and kids come along, term life insurance is so cheap. It's out there. But I told the guy last week, in regard to life insurance, you're not really buying life insurance. You're buying peace of mind. Because if something happens to you, and you see it every day, things happen. So if something happens to you and your spouse and or child, what's your plan? Because bear in mind now, you've got another 20, 25, 30 years of income that's going to be non-existent, when you exit. So without insurance in place, that can be very much of a challenge. So what are you going to do to replace that income stream for you and your spouse? And how are you going to provide for the child in terms of living expenses, in terms of college, in terms of everything that you will be there to provide for them? So I'd really encourage you to really be mindful of those two things. And there's a bunch of other information in there concerning personal finance, a lot of good information, but just be mindful of that. The savings component, and then life insurance, how valuable it can be over time to just give you peace of mind knowing that if something happens to you that you got a plan. So I've covered a lot of information, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate the patience of those that had to listen to this twice today. I'm sorry. But any questions on any topic? I've got some cards up here, and if I can ever be of assistance with anything that comes up, call me. I'm happy to visit with you on anything that I can. But I do thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions individually if you don't have a quick discussion. Thank you again.